Greetings, this is Rabbi Aaron Boxt back with my podcast. I know it's been quite a long time since my previous podcast. But High Holy Days happened, and then Sukkot, and then Simchat Torah, and then there was the whole election, and life's just been crazy busy the last couple of months. But I'm back today. I will be on hiatus again next week because I will be out of town with the family, but I will be back again in 2 weeks. So let this be sort of a reintroduction to my podcast from a long time away. I want to discuss today something that is really sort of in your face right now. It's not the elephant in the room because everyone's talking about it. It is the election that occurred just a couple weeks ago, just a few weeks ago. It seems that this election has caused a lot of fear and anxiety across the board, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, someone who doesn't choose any side, an independent, whatever. This has just caused a lot of anxiety and pain across the board. And I think the primary issue that I see, that I am beginning to really understand, is nobody can talk to each other about things they disagree with. And it's problematic. I see I have colleagues who are starting listening sessions in their congregations, and or people can come and talk and sort of speak their feelings and listen to other people speak their feelings. And the thing that is really interesting is that these listening sessions have not really seemed to be very effective because something someone says, which to them is not intended to be problematic, but the way that it is expressed is heard that way. And once a particular idea is out there, people then begin to shut down. Let me give you an example. I was talking with a congregant last week, and this particular congregant wanted to find a way for us as a congregational family to discuss the political climate of today, in which people would be able to speak their minds and feel safe about it, and then listen to dialogue from other people that may not necessarily agree with them. And this particular congregant then went on to say that they and others felt a real fear for people of the LGBT community. At which point I said to this congregant, think about why you feel that way. Think about why you think that way. And this congregant said, okay. And I said, now, you are making an assumption, as many other people, and I myself have done as well, that if a particular person votes a particular way, then they are voting in support of one idea and against another idea. Meaning, let's just say, for example, the LGBT community. If a person decided that they couldn't vote for President-elect Trump, because they believed in their heart that life would be problematic, fearful, or whatever for members of the LGBT community, that particular person would then not vote for Trump, President-elect Trump. On the other side, if I'm a person who believes that the way that the economy is not going well, and I believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is going to just have continuation, and my opinion is that the current setting of our economy is not good, I'm not going to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris because I feel like that's going to be more of the same. The problem is both of those two people have the same rights and the same feelings and the same desires, which are to live their life in a place where they are comfortable and where they feel safe. Whatever that word safe is, whether it's culturally, whether it's economically, financially, whatever. So assumptions are made by both sides. You know, when I was watching the exit polls on the night of the election, there was an exit poll that came out fairly early, maybe around 7:30 or 8 o'clock, about Pennsylvania. And it was that something like 70% of the exit people that were polled in the exits, as they were leaving the polling stations, that 70% of them were either chose the person that they wanted to vote for because they didn't want to choose the other, meaning they wanted to keep the other person out of office, or they were terrified of the other person, or terrified in general of the election. 70% of the people in Pennsylvania fit into one of those two categories, according to the exit polls that came out. Now, when I first saw those results, I thought there's no way that Pennsylvania is going to go red. Because you're describing, in my mind at the time, the way that Democrats feel. They're terrified of President-elect Donald Trump being elected. And they're terrified of what that would mean for them in their lives. And then a few hours later, Pennsylvania turned red. And I began to realize that 70% of people that were interviewed in those exit polls contained a large percentage of Republicans because the state turned red. So, therefore, my initial assumption about the people in Pennsylvania was incorrect. Or my initial assumption with how the way the state was going to turn or how the state was going to come out. And that can be said probably of all of the states that were on the edge, so to speak. And so, you know, it's difficult. We need to be able to sit down and talk to each other in ways that we can actually hear each other. And if I say to a Republican friend of mine, that I'm terrified for my LGBT friends and family, or I'm terrified for the future of my daughter's reproductive rights, I may be talking to someone who didn't vote for Trump because of any of that. Maybe they voted for Trump because they thought Trump was better for the economy. Maybe they voted for Trump because they thought that Trump was better for military, or whatever the reason is. It doesn't matter. That person who votes for Kamala Harris has just as much of a right to vote for Kamala Harris as the person that votes for Donald Trump. And the truth of the matter is, Donald Trump is the president-elect. And what life is going to be like after he gets inaugurated, we will have to face that, whatever that is, as we would face it for whatever president would be elected. And so I think it's okay to say I'm scared, or I'm worried, or I'm nervous, but we can't look out amongst the people in our community, in our world, and say, you did this, or you brought this on yourself, or you are going to reap the rewards, blah, blah, blah. That's not helpful. What's helpful is to say, listen, we may have disagreed on who we voted for, and that's okay. But we're all Americans. We're all in this together. Let's find a way for us to embrace each other in kindness and love and not stress so much about why we disagree. Because I would venture to guess that we in this country have a lot, in this world, have a lot more in common than things we don't have in common. And that, my friends, that is what we need to focus on. That is the message. Remember, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Treat each other with kindness. The rest is just commentary. I'll see you next time.